Hey everybody, Hugh Chen here. I'm going to be talking about when you go show space in commercial real estate and how important it is to make sure that you're really maximize that showing. It's a lot of time on your end and you're showing it very often and you want to have the highest chance of converting that showing into a letter of intent and then that letter of intent turning into a lease. I was reminded of this concept. I was reminded of recently when I got one of the emails from Beth Azor, who hired me into the business. So in her blog post, she says rock stars don't waste showings. And that's true. I started off the first 12 years of my career in retail leasing. And I can tell you that, I've made a plenty of mistakes, but I did very well in retail leasing. And part of the reason why I did well is that when you show your space, you're really showing the product that you're selling. And you have to think of it just like anytime you're the customer. If you go to Best Buy or you go to AutoNation or CarMax and you're walking with one of their salespeople and you say, hey, I'm looking at this TV. Why should I buy a Samsung versus an LG? And if the person looks at you and says, I mean, why are you asking me? I don't know. I mean, how likely are they going to be able to close that deal? Or if you're talking to a car salesperson and you're comparing Toyotas to Hondas and they don't know it in and out, how are they going to close the deal? On the other hand, and I've experienced this also, on the other hand, if you go to Best Buy and you're talking to a salesperson that like knows it like the back of their hand because they are just so passionate about electronics and they say, hey, well, before I answer that question, let me ask you a question. How often do you watch? How big is your room? How many people are watching at the same time? What's important for you? Do you have windows in the room that'll create glare off the screen? And if they start asking you all these questions, you're like, holy smokes, this person like knows so much about this, not only the TV, but is really trying to answer the question by asking me the right things for them to know what I need. That's what closes the deal. Same thing when you're trying to buy a car. It's like, if that salesperson says, well, okay, before I answer that question, let me ask you, how many miles do you drive per year? How many people are in your car? Do you have a family? Do you drive fast? Is electronics user interface important for you? Is gas mileage important for you? So to really understand, why you need to buy their product, and it's the same thing with leasing space. Why does that potential business need to rent your particular space, and as opposed to the space down the street, the space across the street, the space a city away, right? And if you really understand what you're talking about, but then more importantly, then you're asking them what they need and try to match it up. I mean, that's where the magic happens. So I think that you really need to do two things to make sure that you're maximizing your showings. Is that one, you really need to know your product inside and out, meaning that you need to know, what are the strengths of your shopping center? What are your demographics? How many people come to your property? What types of businesses do well in the area? What are you missing in the area? But also you need to go to all of your other shopping centers in the market and understand, how are they stronger than you or weaker than you? And so that you can really be able to answer the questions. But then when you when you go and meet with a prospect, you have to have a really good list of questions that you need to have answered to best serve them, right? Finding out, hey, well, what's important to you? What kind of business are you? Are you a restaurant business? Are you a retailer business? How many people are you planning on seeing per day? Are you doing takeout only? Are you doing delivery? Are you receiving deliveries for merchandise in the back? If there's no back door, can you do it through the front? Who do they co-tenant off of? If you have a supermarket anchored shopping center, hey, have you ever opened up another location next to a supermarket? How is that experience? Do you prefer being next to a supermarket as opposed to a soft goods retailer like TJ Maxx? And so those are all questions that you have to really understand to best maximize that showing. So just a reminder, and that this is a quick little mindset video.